8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news, edited by Danushka Madhawala and read by Indrani Senanayaka. The headlines. The Prime Minister says education officials should pay more attention to safeguarding schools instead of closing them. MP Vajira Abewardena says that regulations are needed to prevent defamation and retaliation through social media. The government has decided to lease the President's house premises in Jaffna to the SLIIT to harness national assets for educational development. Minister of Power and Energy says no discussions were held to reintroduce the fuel pass QR system. Malaysian Foreign Minister concludes a successful visit to Sri Lanka. In foreign news, Israel says 199 hostages in Gaza as talks continue on aid to civilians. In sports news, Sri Lanka sets a target score of 210 runs for the Kangaroos. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that instead of closing schools, education officials should focus deeply on protecting and preserving schools. The Prime Minister expressed these views today at the inauguration of the new Matika Mata Upahara building at the Vaishaka Vidyalaya Valdavatta, affiliated to the Lindsay Girls College, Colombo. This Vaishaka College, which was started in 1935 with the donation of philanthropist E.S. Fernando, was proposed to close down in year 2016, and it was revived and affiliated to the Lindsay Girls College, Mambalapitiya, with the intervention of the current Dasasil Mata, Matika Mata, who was then known as Sri Devi de Silva. The chairman of the United National Party, former minister and member of parliament, Vajira Abewardena, emphasized that the present government is dedicated to elevating Sri Lanka's global standing by ensuring the public's access to accurate information, drawing inspiration from the significance of the Media Development Authority Act of Singapore in their developmental journey. The MP further highlighted that while everyone enjoys the freedom of social media, regulation should be introduced to deter its misuse for personal attacks or vengeful actions. He expressed the following insights during a press conference held today at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme, Collective Path to a Stable Country. Mr. Abewardena highlighted that the establishment of the Commission on the Safety of Online Systems will serve as an experimental platform for both journalists and citizens. He further noted that individuals spreading defamatory or false information through online systems will face legal consequences, and the Commission itself does not possess punitive authority. The government has decided to lease the President's house premises in Jaffna to the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology to harness national assets for educational development. This was decided on during a discussion chaired recently by Chief of Presidential Staff and Presidential Advisor on National Security Sagala Ratnayaka. The President's house in Kankisanture is on 29 acres with 12 acres of building complexes. It facilitates the remaining. It was acquired during 2010-2015. The government has decided to lease the 12 acres of government-owned land to SLIIT to expand educational facilities. The remaining 17 acres acquired from the local community will be leased to SLIIT to help contribute to the income of the people in the region. The land, now under the custody of the Navy, will be handed over to SLIIT with the signing of the lease agreement. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. We continue with local news. Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, has refuted reports claiming a discussion has been held to reintroduce the National Fuel Pass QR system in Sri Lanka. Talking to ex-Minister Wijesekara said that the government, Ministry of Power and Energy or the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has not engaged in any discussion to reintroduce the National Fuel Pass QR system or any other quota system for fuel. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia undertook an official visit to Sri Lanka recently. During the visit, the Malaysian Foreign Minister held official discussions with his Sri Lankan counterpart, Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the 9th of this month on a wide range of matters of mutual interest in the areas of political, trade and investment, defence and tourism, to reaffirm the commitment to further consolidate and enhance the bilateral cooperation between the two countries. During the discussion, a special focus was given on the proposed free trade agreement between the two countries to bolster trade and economic cooperation and on Sri Lanka's application to join the Regional Economic Partnership Agreement. That ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The main news story, the Hambantota International Port clocked 500,000 transshipment units for this year in September 2023, surpassing the port's previous year's RORO transshipment numbers. Last year, the port hit the 500,000 mark in November, closing 2022 with a total volume of 558,200 moves of local and transshipment cargo handled, whereas this year, the port was able to achieve the milestone within the third quarter of 2023, setting a new milestone. The port's RORO transshipment business has seen significant growth in the past 5 years and is now an attractive destination for transshipment of vehicles.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
We now took a look at Watchlight. The Public Health Inspectors Union, in collaboration with the Education Ministry, has taken measures to prevent the spread of non-communicable diseases among school children. The project will be launched under the directive of the Health Ministry. President of the PHI Union, Upul Rohana, said they are now working towards implementing a school canteen policy. He said that in terms of the policy, school canteens would be prohibited from selling food items containing excessive amounts of fat, salt and preservatives, as well as carbonated drinks. He added that tests and inspections were being carried out in both private and public schools. He also warned that legal action will be taken against canteen owners who violate the policy. And now we take a look at world news. Israel says 199 hostages in Gaza as talks continue on aid to civilians. Former Bank of China boss arrested on bribery charges. Exit polls suggests right-wing ruling party to lose majority in Polish election. Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza, up from 155 to 199. They were kidnapped when Hamas gunmen infiltrated Israel just over a week ago, killing more than 1,400 people. More than 2,700 people in Gaza have been killed in retaliatory strikes by Israel, which is also blocking fuel, water, food and medical supplies from entering the territory. The UN says it is deep in negotiations to get the first aid into Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas have denied earlier reports of a truce to allow some people out and aid in via the Rafah crossing. Thousands of people have been gathering close to the crossing with Egypt in the hope of leaving Gaza ahead of an expected Israeli ground offensive. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has returned to Israel. On Sunday, President Joe Biden called on Israel to exercise caution. The former chairman of the Bank of China has been arrested over suspicions of bribery and giving illegal loans. Liu Liange, chairman of the state-owned bank from 2019 to 2023, has resigned from his position in March this year. Weeks later, authorities announced Ms. Liu was facing corruption charges. The 62-year-old is now one of the most senior bankers to be ensnared in President Xi Jinping's anti-corruption probe into China's $60 trillion financial sector. The push to weed out corruption from the country's financial industry appears to be ramping up, with officials in April warning that crackdown was far from over. Several high-profile financial executives from state-owned banks have already been fined, jailed or under investigation, with former chairman of China Life Insurance, Wang Bin, sentenced to life in prison without parole for bribery. The right-wing populist Law and Justice Party is on course to win most seats in Poland's general election, an exit poll suggests, but is unlikely to secure a third term in office. Known as PIS, it is set to win 36.6% of the vote, with the centrist opposition on 31%, says the IPSOS poll. If that is correct, Donald Tusk's Civic Coalition has a better chance of forming a coalition. He is aiming to end 8 years of PIS rule under leader Jaroslaw Kaczynski. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. Israel says 199 hostages in Gaza as talks continue on aid to civilians. Former Bank of China's boss arrested on bribery charges. Exit polls suggest right-wing ruling party to lose majority in Polish election. That ends this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
The sour banana cultivation project and the TEJC mango project, which have been started in Jaffna under the Agriculture Sector Modernization Project of the Ministry of Agriculture, have become two very successful cultivation projects. Presently, the sour banana is cultivated on 200 acres and the TEJC mango is planted on 500 acres. Sour banana and TEJC mango in Jaffna are cultivated for exporting. At present, in conjunction with the Rajangania sour banana project, 10,000 kilograms of sour bananas are exported to Dubai market once a week. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amarweera visited Jaffna yesterday to observe the progress of the two cultivation projects.
Sports News is brought to you by Shark Tea. Refresh your mind and body. Shark Tea Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shark Tea. Taste the power.
The 14th match of the ICC Cricket World Cup is now being played in Lucknow between Sri Lanka and Australia. Sri Lanka won the toss and opted to bat first and have only scored 209 runs all out. Kushal Pereira scored 78 runs and Pathum Nisanka scored 61 runs. Charit Asalanka scored 25 runs and no other player was able to score at least 10 runs each. Adam Zampa took 4 wickets. In reply, Australia scored 133 runs for the loss of 3 wickets after 25.1 overs just a short while ago. 5 sports, including cricket and flag football, will be included in the 2028 Los Angeles Games after gaining the approval of the International Olympic Committee. Lacrosse, squash and baseball, softball, proposed for inclusion by LA Games organizers, also received approval at an IOC meeting in Mumbai today. That was Sports News.
Shark Tea. Refresh your mind and body. Shark Tea Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shark Tea. Taste the power.
Go ekathiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dekapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Australia's internet safety watchdog has slapped a $386,000 fine on Elon Musk's X for failing to cooperate with the probe into anti-child abuse practices. It comes after Mr. Musk, in a post last November, said that removing child exploitation is priority number 1. The E-Safety Commission criticized the firm's empty talk on the issue. Insiders had earlier told the BBC they would not be able to protect users from trolling following mass layoffs as X, also known as Twitter, has seen a a continuous revenue decline since Mr. Musk bought it for $44 billion last year.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The only SB Ithru account, NSBIM, a plan for your dream.
We now take a look at economic news. Russia netted $18.8 billion from oil exports last month, making September the most profitable month since July 2022, the International Energy Agency said in its mobile oil market report. According to the Paris-based agency, the country's oil export revenue surged by $1.8 billion in 1 month. The agency estimates that gains from crude exports grew strongly by some $1.5 billion than profits from the shipment of petroleum products. That was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Uva, eastern, northern and north-central provinces. A few showers may occur in coastal areas of the western and southern provinces and in the Puttalam district during the morning hours. To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. The Prime Minister says education officials should pay more attention to safeguarding schools instead of closing them. MP Vajira Abewardena says that regulations needed to prevent defamation and retaliation through social media needed. The government has decided to release the President's house premises to the SLIIT to harness national assets for educational development. Minister of Power and Energy says no discussions were held to reintroduce the fuel pass QR system. Malaysian Foreign Minister concludes a successful visit to Sri Lanka. In foreign news, Israel says 199 hostages in Gaza as talks continue on aid to civilians. In sports news, Sri Lanka sets a target score of 210 runs for the Kangaroos. That ends tonight's broadcast. The time is 3 minutes past 9 o'clock. This is Radio Sri Lanka.